So I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic grade school from preschool all the way up till 8th grade. And church for me was always a chore. The appeal of it usually revolved around the fact that we got to go to Panera after and get a cinnamon roll. So I wasn't terribly connected. It was too regimented for me. I just never connected with anything that was happening during Mass. And I think that because I went to school, it just was too much. It was all consuming for me. So come Sunday, it just felt like another thing that we were obligated to do. So after the Catholic school, I then went to Upper St. Clair High School, and I had known some people from the district because I played soccer, but for the most part, I was kind of just the new kid on the block. So the first group of friends that I got connected with, they were involved with youth ministry at another church, a non-denominational church. And once again, I got involved, but kind of very superficially, selfishly just went because that's what they were doing. Didn't really totally feel connected. Was probably more focused on the snacks and the boys that were there than the actual message. But then I switched crowds of friends, got in with maybe not the best influences, started doing some not great things, and just completely fell off with any connection of faith or church or anything. Went on to college, didn't really have much of a connection with my faith. It was kind of out of sight, out of mind. Wasn't something that was on my radar that felt important. Come my senior year, I ended up getting pregnant with my now 5-year-old Harper, and it was a shock to the entire system in terms of my family and myself. Was definitely not something that was planned. And when I found out I was pregnant, the first thought that went through my head was, I need to go to church. And then the second thought was, the only church that I know, what I grew up in, I don't feel comfortable going there because I'm pregnant, and at the time I didn't have a ring on my finger. So I went back and forth. I tried out a couple different churches, non-denominational, mostly. And it was more just, I was seeking something and I didn't know what I was seeking, so the connection part of all those other churches just wasn't happening. Someone that my mom works with comes to Westminster, raised her family here, raved about it, was very supportive to my mom during that difficult time of my pregnancy, and said, hey, why don't you guys come check out the bridge? And just really talked about how welcoming and laid back it is, and that no one would even really give me a second look because I was pregnant and didn't have a ring on my finger. So I was hesitant, and I pushed it away for a while because I grew up in Upper St. Clair. Obviously this church is right next to the high school, and so many thoughts of who am I gonna see? What are they gonna think? What are they gonna say came to mind. But eventually came to Westminster, and exactly what she said. The bridge was welcoming. I walked in the door, and I'm pretty sure it was John Van Cleve, hugged me, and I was like, who are you? And it just felt like home. And it was the first time that I not only wanted to hear the message, but I listened to it, and it made sense. So at that point, I kind of just dove in because it felt so comfortable. I was working for the daycare, and I really wanted to get involved. I was seeing how much the church was doing and how many opportunities there were to get involved. I'm not really sure how. I'm sure they probably stalked me somehow, but Ed and Jay approached me to come hang out with the youth group. They had asked me to come along to what I think was like a camping trip of some sort. So they asked me to come volunteer. I kind of avoided answering them for a while because I started to retract and get really nervous, and I was like, I'm hanging out with teenagers and I'm pregnant. What kind of positive influence can I be? What are these guys that I don't really know gonna think about me? So I avoided them again, and once again they ended up finding me because I was working downstairs. And I'll never forget this day. They walked me. We met in the library here at the church, and they were like, hey, just checking in. We wanted to give you some details about the trip and wanted to see if you're still in to volunteer. And I froze because I was like, okay, I have to tell them why I want to say no and why I need to maybe not hang out with the teenagers anymore. And I looked right at them and I said, I don't think that I can come, and I just don't think me being involved with the youth is probably a good idea anymore. And I paused, and then I said, because I'm pregnant. And I swear, in unison, they both looked at me and said, pregnant people don't camp. And it was just this, and I'm sure I cried in the moment because it was just this overwhelming feeling of acceptance. Not only did I feel accepted by them and by the church, but it was like this moment of realizing that I was accepted by God. And I think that's when it all really clicked for me in terms of what I was seeking with my original thought of I need church. Now, almost 5 years later, I'm married to a wonderful man, and Harper is involved in church, and I teach Sunday school. Eddie now helps out with the youth group and help out with the family life group, and any chance that I can to be involved in what's happening here, I want to be, because I want people to experience that same feeling that I had of acceptance.